is an evening section of this class as well. And that's on Wednesday nights. I can put it up there, but it's Wednesday nights, 5:30 to 6:45. So if you ever miss a class here and you're not wanting to miss out on the attendance, make sure you're showing participation, that sort of thing, you can definitely come to the Wednesday night class. It's in the same location in here. You'll come into my office just like you normally would. Just make sure that you either write over in the chat that you're in there, but you're from a different section, or you can send me an email and tell me that you are in another section that way as well. But either way, let me know, because otherwise I won't know, because I just see a whole bunch of you guys and a whole bunch of names too. So it's always nice when I get to see faces, though. I like that a lot better. All right. Okay, so a couple of things. First, let me tell you about you. Let me tell you about me, and then I'm going to tell you kind of about the class. And then we're going to do a little bit of a get to know you. I'm going to shove you into groups. And then lastly, we're going to kind of start content a little bit. So first of all, let me share my screen with you just so you can see this little picture dealy. All right, and you can see everything else. Here we go. All right, so here's this is kind of what this is my people right now. This is my mom and dad right here over on the left-hand side. Can you guys see it? Thumbs up, thumbs down, you see it? Okay, so here's my mom and dad, and we call them Gator 1 and Gator 2. I don't really know. Well, my dad has really, really tough, dry skin, so I think that's where it started, was Gator, but we call them Gators. So this was on their birthday. They are both, my dad just turned 80, my mom turned 76, and they have the same birthday, so isn't that funny? This is my favorite thing to do, which is falling asleep holding one of my dogs. And my second favorite thing to do, this is my camper, and in the summers I go all around the US in my little tiny camper here, and the dogs and I and my partner, we live out of this guy and get to see the United States, which is really fun. So it's a little 13-foot, and I just pull it behind my little SUV. So here we all are. You can see how happy the dogs are. They seem really excited to have costumes on for Halloween. These little guys here are probably some of my favorite critters in the world. This is Ruth Bader Ginsburg right here. She's a year old. And this is Zoe, and she's 14 years old. And I have a new puppy, and I realized I don't have a picture here of my new puppy. I have a new puppy, and she is 12 weeks old or something? But I think she's brilliant. You know, I'm one of those mothers that I think she's brilliant, because I named this one Ruth Bader Ginsburg Ruthie after, of course, RBG, the Notorious. But it took her like a year to potty train. It was tough, man. This dog was tough. Then I got the new puppy recently. That dog was potty trained in 2 days. I don't understand it. So Supreme Court Justice, not so much. So here we are, sort of out camping. It's my best friend Olive. And the reason so why did I put her on here? The reason I put her on here was because we just did a class together. We've been doing Oprah's Soul Sunday. I kind of believe that Oprah might be a little bit of a prophet, maybe. I don't know. I think she says brilliant things. And so I've been reading a little bit of Oprah to go with my Promised Land Obama, the world can fix itself. We have to do something to fix what's happening to each other. I don't think necessarily just a president's going to do that, but I think that it's important that we do that. And so we were just kind of finishing up this class that we've been taking there, and I was thinking, I think of myself like a lifelong learner, don't have all the answers, have a lot of experiences, been all over the world. I work a lot in Africa. I build, or I help communities build schools, and I train teachers there. So over the last 9 years, I spend half of my time usually in Western Africa, in Liberia, and I'll show you, we'll talk a little bit of that when we get to culture. But I've taught in Australia and Korea and kind of all over. But I've been here at A&M for 13 years, so yeah, this is the end of my 13th year. Here's sort of some of my family. You can see we're all dog people. Everybody's got their dogs as we go on up. So right now, in case you kind of wanted to know, where is she? I'm actually in Oregon right now. So you won't be able to come and find me in my office, but you can definitely set up office hours with me, which is why I say, hey, definitely send me something and let me know that you are needing something, because I can hop into my room really fast. Just hop in here and say, hey, let's talk face to face about it. Because sometimes it's easier to even talk face to face, even if that's a little bit scary. All right. So, that's really nice, Brendan. Brendan's already put up his phone number to like share if you want somebody to ask questions about. Awesome. Okay, so a couple things. Those of you that were here early heard my little spiel. You have an online book. Actually, it's two online books. Mine are physical. I'm one of those physical book kind of people. But the first one is this one, Understanding Reading Problems. And I was telling the first group that was in here, like the kid that's on the front, you might get a different kid. It depends on the edition. The brand newest edition does not have this kiddo on there. You can tell as the bottom. I was wondering if I had a paper version. It doesn't have this kid on it, but it is the same book. Okay, there's not any big differences. Occasionally they'll switch a chapter, but it won't matter too much. As long as you're turning in a chapter every week or so that you're reading and responding to, you're good. And then the second one is this one here, Writing Workshop in the Elementary Classroom. And this one, there's licenses for all you guys to be able to check it out in our library at school. So you can get your license to pull that out. And I think it lets you hold it for, like 8 weeks or something like that. So you don't need it yet, but I think it'll hold it for 8 weeks. Then it'll take it out of your library and you'll have to recheck it out. But it doesn't cost you anything if you want to do it that way as well. All right. So other than that, I think I've told you a little bit about me, and I want to be in a group with some of you. And I'm trying to decide how I want to go about this. No, I'm not. I am going to pull up some stuff for you guys. I do want to talk through a little bit on the syllabus, and that is because, it's all online, and I just feel a little bit like if I don't go over kind of how to do some of the stuff, it can get a little bit overwhelming. But at the same time as I say that, I've really tried to pare it down so that what it is that you're doing every week is similar, so that you're like, okay, in Wilson's class, here's what I have to do every week. They just made us change our passwords, which we change them so often, I no longer can. I don't know if y'all ever had that trouble where you use the same password and then they won't let you use it for the last 9 times. And so now you've got like a 10th time and you can't. Anyway, so that's where I'm at right now. Hold on just a second. And I seem to be kind of like someone who can't walk and chew gum. Let me get in here. All right, so what I'm doing is I'm going into Blackboard right now. I know you don't see that, but I'm going to walk you through how the Blackboard class looks. I'm going to share my screen with you again. You'll see the messy screen, but okay. So basically, I'm inside of your Blackboard. All right, and technically we're on week 2. But we're not really on week 2. We're sort of on week 2, but in this class, this is the first time we've met. And we aren't going to always meet. Now, I say that we will not be meeting on Thursdays. We will only be meeting on Tuesdays. Okay? So first things first, we will be meeting on Tuesdays. You can have your Thursdays to do something else. Try to get everything handled so that you can meet me in here on Tuesdays. And on Thursdays, you can think of that like the work inside a Blackboard day. Okay? Because there are a couple weeks in the middle of the semester especially that are rough. They're kind of rough. There are a lot of reading. It's a reading class, so there's a lot of reading. And when you get to chapter 10, I even broke it into a couple pieces because there's like so much. You should also know that inside of the syllabus, which I'm about to put up, there's a whole bunch of topics that are kind of in the middle of the syllabus. Let me just open it for you. You can see it. All right. So, talked about all that stuff, all about this stuff. Okay, these are learning objectives. So if some of you don't know, you should know now that you're going to be taking a Science of Teaching reading test. Most of you will be having to take a new Science of Teaching reading test soon. It depends on how quickly you're going into your student teaching. But you will actually take a subject test that is nothing but reading. So in that, all of that the early pieces that you learned in early literacy, if you were K6 or K4, those are going to be on there. We're going to be talking about those in this class as well, reminding you, but specifically, you should know some of those early topics such as graphemes, phonemes, morphemes. Know what they are. I guarantee you they're going to be on that test. What we'll be doing in here is using them. So I'm not going to be teaching necessarily what a free and a bad morpheme are, but I am going to be expecting you to know those things so that we can then assess them. See, our goal is figuring out where is a kid and what does a kid need? How can we help that kid to read better, understand better, not just sound out words. So probably in the first part of this reading sections that you've been in, 3314 or 3315, your early literacy class, you learned all about those things and you thought, oh no, great, I don't have to know the 6 syllable types anymore. I don't have to have all of that. You do, and especially because now your test is going to cover a whole bunch of that. Your tests in this class, there will be 3 parts to each test that you take in this class. The first part will be your reading. The second part will be your class, stuff we've done in class. And the third part will be things taken from other previous exams. So your the reading teacher exam that you're about to be taking, the science of teaching reading. So I'm going to give you a chance to take a look at those types of questions, because now is the time to make the mistake, not when you're taking the test and you've had to pay $122 or whatever it is for you to take it. We want you to make mistakes now so we can talk through them. And we'll do that with each test. So at the end of each test, I have 3 sections of this class. I will run an item analysis to see what questions did everybody do really well on and what questions were you guys all really struggling with, so that I can come in and make sure that we talk through those questions that might have tripped you up. Because we don't want you to be tripped up when you head into your to take your tests. Because it's something, and it always is a little bit painful to imagine that your state, Texas, believes that the making of a good teacher is in passing this test. Because you and I both know that just because you pass a test doesn't mean you're going to be a good teacher or not a good teacher. And it always is sort of saddening to recognize that there's so much at stake. You could have a 4.0 and have amazing professors who are writing about your teaching and your learning and give you great recommendations, and then not pass that test and not be a teacher. And that it makes me so sad every time I think about it. So we are going to talk about tests. This class is an assessment class. It's all about tests, including your test, which your tests are high stakes tests. Tests that big things happen if you don't do well. All right, so we move on down in here. If you got issues with computers, please try to figure that out. It sucks to be in and to lose things, and because you're doing so much on your computer now, most of you I'm sure are laptops, things like that. Make sure you save it in multiple places. I can't even tell you last semester how many people lost things. And I know that sounds silly to say, but it hurts. All right, scholastic integrity. This word integrity, I want you to really sort of think about in this class. Every time you take a test, in a quiz, a little quiz in this class, you will be, most of the time, asked an integrity question. The integrity question is usually something around, did you read? You don't lose anything if you say no, like I didn't finish, or I think it has to ask 0, 1/2, the whole thing. Like I read the whole thing. That lets me know how you're going about the reading. Because if you're struggling with the questions on the quiz, and the quiz comes from the reading, hopefully, because I will release the quizzes to you, you'll release them at the time the last person takes the test. The quizzes will release, and then you can see them. You can see the questions. You can see the right answer, the answer you picked. You can see the wrong answers as well, I think. I'm pretty sure you can see both. I know you can see the answer you picked. But integrity is something I really want you guys to think about. Integrity is things like showing up on time, being a part of an academic community, trying to, when you do your quizzes, you're going to have your book in front of you. So it's not that I assume that you're not ever using anything that's in front of you. You'll have your book, you have your Cornell notes, which will be immensely important to you because a lot of the test comes from that. So it's not that I'm asking you not to use those things, but what I am asking you not to do is to Google. And I will tell you that I did pick some answers on these quizzes that come directly off of Google that aren't the right answer. So if you Google stuff and you pull it up and you're like, oh, look, this looks good, It was on Reading Rockets, but it actually isn't the answer we're looking for. Just so that you know, integrity to me for this particular time period means using what it is that you have access to, your brain, your book, and your notes. Stay out of Google as much as you can, okay? So that's kind of what that's about. And taking care of each other. I think that's an integrity thing to do too. All right. Don't bribe. Don't cheat. No collusion. I think that's hilarious. Collusion. Now I say that, I shouldn't laugh about that. We had students that were kind of caught doing something like that in another class. They use a system called Tavera, and basically what it does is it videotapes you taking a test. And so it took a video of the person taking the test. This is not in my class, taking a test. But then somebody was on the other side of their screen helping them with answers, and it got caught. It was so sad. Okay. So here's how the structure of the class will be, and it'll be this way for the week after we meet, kind of. So you're going to read the set chapters, do the written response or activity. So sometimes there's something for you to do. This time you were to take a picture of yourself as a literate human being. We'll look at it in just a second, and upload it, and then you're going to take a quiz. The quiz, almost all the quizzes, I think, at least have 2 times. You're allowed to take the test twice. Okay, the highest grade will be the grade that counts. I'm interested in you finding answers to questions that you have or that you feel insecure about, recognizing where your insecurities are. Because it's not for me to tell you, it's for you to recognize. Those little quizzes each week hopefully are going to be ways for you to get ready for that bigger test that you're going to be taking, in the next year or so. I would love for you guys to walk in and feel like when you walk out of the test that you were like, man, ELAR rocked that. As opposed to sometimes we walk out of big tests and you have no idea how you did. And you're scared and you have to wait to get the test score. And you're just like, oh, I'm not a good test taker. The truth is that you just don't exactly know. And wouldn't it be nice to walk out and feel like, well, ultimately I knew about 80% of these. Like, I feel pretty good. And hopefully that'll happen. That's my goal for you at the end. It's not just to pass this class with an A, but to also be able to pass the big test in the end, to be a teacher, to be somebody that when I come into the schools in the next year and I happen to see you and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, hey, how are you going? How's it going? What are you doing? And you're there as opposed to still trying to tackle your test. All right. So here's sort of the kind of assignment pieces. The piece that's not here yet is the part that's going to go with the writing workshop. The activity is not up yet. That's because it's going to be sort of an additional piece. So a few points are going to come out of this one right in here. So here's how it works. Chapter 1 to 7, there's a quiz, a thoughtful response, or an activity. By module 7, or kind of the 7th week, I put it as a module so we would hone in on it a little bit. We're going to talk about, this is high stakes position paper. So I'm going to ask you to do a project around high stakes testing. But I need to be able to teach you a little bit about that before you can do it. But I don't want to leave it till the very end either, because of course, if we get to the end of the semester, high stress, it's going to be summer at that point. That seems so weird to say. It's going to be summer at that point, and I don't want all of my projects and then projects in your other classes to be all just mingled in with each other. So I try to give you something in the middle that's worth a good amount of points. And then you'll have a final exam. And it'll be taken on a lockdown browser. And what that means is you'll still be taking it at your house, but when you log in, it's not going to let you go to Google or anything like that. It's just going to let you be on the computer. You will be able to use your notes. That's why it's kind of cool. If you do your Cornell notes well, you'll have the answers to a lot of these questions, and they're right there in front of you. So you won't have to feel the need to go and copy paste from online. All right, and that'll be done at the end of the semester, probably on the last day that we meet. Every time that there is any assignment, any quiz, anything like that, I give you multiple days to take it. So once you log in, you're going to have a certain amount of time. Most of the quizzes are an hour. Most of them, they have like 8 questions. Like some of them, 10 would be a big day, big week. You're 5 to 8 questions. And it'll give you the grade as soon as everybody's taken it. And so if you're the last one taking it, then you're holding everybody up. Assignments are going to get released on Sundays at 8 a.m. and then they'll be due the following Friday. And let me tell you why I do that. Okay, for one, it's not because I'm needing time grading, but instead it's that if you need to catch up reading, you can have your nice Saturday to do that. You can make choices about what your time looks like without having to feel too guilty. Sometimes when we're doing things for ourselves, a little bit of self-care, or we are needing to do something for our family, we want to have a family dinner, we want to take the dogs on a really big walk, and I just need Wilson to get out of my head. Like, I don't want to constantly feel like she's breathing down my neck because there's something due. So that basically, because I don't release things until Sunday, then it kind of allows you, if you want to use Sunday to get ready for the week, great. But Saturday is your kind of day, and I ask that you know that that's hopefully a little bit of a gift from me to you, so that at least you're not having to worry that you waited till the last minute and now you don't have it. Saturday is sort of your day. All right. Great, y'all know this stuff. Calendars. If you've got some sort of a disability going on or an ability that you want to know about or let me know about, if there's something you need, please tell me. If you're somebody who gets really freaked out after the first test, something happened at the first test, freaked you out, oh, the timer, that hurts a lot of people because there's a timer on there. It makes you feel like you have to hurry. Don't hurry. You don't need to hurry. It will force completion at the end, but then you just contact me. Don't ever feel like the timer is what's going to distinguish your grade, right? So if you're somebody that gets all worked up about something, let me know. Send me the email, say, hey, I took my quiz. The timer was counting down. It was my first time seeing the timer. It freaked me out. I got to question 7 instead of 8. And I can look it up. I can see where you were. Something that students often don't know, I think professors, we sometimes keep hush-hush, is that we can see how long you've been on Blackboard. We can see the movements that you've made through the folders. We can follow the amount of time that you're in there. So anyway, all right, scholarship, sexual misconduct. I don't know why I'm involved in that, but, whatever. I don't drop anybody from class, so if you get to a place where you're going to need to drop because you've got other stuff going on, just know that I don't drop you. So you'll make the grade that you make. If you stop coming to class, you'll end up with the F. You'll have to kind of, figure out what you want to do with that, but I don't drop anybody from class. All right. So Module 1, which is kind of where we're starting now, you did have an assignment. Hopefully you got an announcement from me. If you'd never got announcements from me, you definitely need to call into IT and make sure that whatever address is in Blackboard comes to you. Some of you use your Jaguar email because that's what it's going to send it to through Blackboard is your Jaguar. But if you're somebody who uses, like, you don't check your Jaguar very much, you use your school, your work address or your home address, email address, and you want to use that one, IT can do that for you. You just have to have them do it so that then it's coming to the address that you see all the time. Or make sure that you're checking this one. I do send out announcements quite often. I try not to overrun you, but when I find something that multiple people have asked me, I'm going to shoot it out to you guys. And I'll post it. You'll have it in here as well. You'll have it posted, but it'll also come out to you in email. So make sure you check that in. Okay, so here is this week. You saw that one of the modules open, the chapter 1 module opened, and we'll look at that in just a second. And that's where we are right now. We're sort of in the midst of chapter 1. You have gotten your fun online version of the book. I know, reading online is awful. I know, for a lot of you, it's just awful. These questions that are in here help to guide your reading. You're going to see a lot of these on the Cornell note structure as well. And then over here, it's got all of the standards that go with it. Basically, I'm just telling you, this is sort of like assessment is a review of all of the things that you've learned in your ELAR classes, but specifically how we take the things that you know and you've already learned and then use them to figure out the kids that are in our class. Assessment is not a bad word, okay? It's not that and at the same time, it's not always used appropriately. Assessment should be something that we as teachers do so that we know what we need to do next. We assess the kids to figure out our own teaching and to figure out what's happening with the kid. It should never be involved with things like money how much money a school gets based on their test scores on the STAR test. It should never be based on things like, it should never change the curriculum. So it shouldn't just be like giving a worksheet on 4.2a, and that's how I test to see if the kids understand 4.2a. It should never be tunneling in on what teaching should look like, which we know in Texas it does. We narrow the curriculum we teach based on the test. So instead of saying, hey, I want the kids to know about citizenship right now, what does it look like to have honesty and integrity and joy? What does that look like for kids? Instead, we make sure that they know 4.2ab, right? Like, we have to be careful that we're balancing, because that high stakesness that makes a test rule your classroom can really have some dire consequences for kids. We'll look at those. Okay, so every week there's going to be something that you're reading, and then it's going to have some sort of an essay, an answer, a quiz, or a little project that you have to do. And then whatever it is that you're doing that week is due by Sunday at 11:59. Okay, so then Monday will happen. I won't see you guys. My goal would be to have a grade to you by Tuesday for that last week, and then you're starting on your next set, right? So things are going to open up and close up between Sundays and Fridays. All right, are there any questions about that?
So just to clarify,
Sunday, Friday. I have to read every day. Read every day. And if you're somebody like me, I have to show you this stuff. I did the other day. I was reading in here. See if I don't know if I can find it. I was kind of like doing a reassessment, and like I fell asleep, and I was holding happened to be a red pen. I know how we feel about red pens, but I was reading, and I fell asleep on the couch with my red pen. And I drew lines all the way down it. I drew it on my white shirt that I was wearing. The dog had on this cute little like white top, red pen mark. I'm like, I don't even know how the pen got as many places as it did. And I tell you that to say, the book is all about reading and writing and assessment. For me, I love this topic. For some of you, it might not be your favorite topic. So saying you're going to sit down and read for 4 hours, probably not. Imagine yourself reading for about an hour, and that you're doing strategic reading. Strategic reading is a little bit different than you might imagine, okay? Strategic reading is, as you go through the book, you have to trust yourself to know if you need to read that section or not. So if you remember what a phoneme is, and you get to a section that's reteaching phonemes to you, you should feel okay with skipping through that section. Strategic reading means you've got your highlighter and your little note cards and your little notepads or whatever, and you are putting things in there that make sense for you, and that you're doing that first. So what you're going to find yourself wanting to do as the semester goes on, I promise you, is that you're going to want to take down the Cornell notes and then just answer the questions. Like you go on a word search through the book. So you got your book and you got your questions, and instead of reading and then answering those questions in the notes, taking notes, instead of doing that, you do the opposite, which is you look for the answers to the questions in the book. Two different things, okay? What I want you to do is to read first, then do the Cornell notes, and that will require that you go back to the book. But it will so enable you to answer the quizzes and to do well in this class, because now you're kind of rereading in a way. You will have read the first time, then you take the questions and you go and you pull some answers. Sometimes you can write them on your own. That allows you to really know it, so that when it comes to the final exam, when you can't really use any of that background stuff, you'll be able to pull it out. Okay? All right. So that's what they look like. Every week, different chapter. If a chapter is really, really large, which in the middle, I break it up a little bit, but you'll see they all look the same. They all have the same sort of questions. They've got what you're reading, what you're doing, and making sure you take the quiz. And like I said, the quiz usually has you take it 2 times. And yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll do that in just a second. All right. These are kind of concepts that are over on the side, and this is what it looks like. If you have questions, because what I'm going to ask you, what I would hope that you would do is this is my talking through the syllabus for you. you will go and you'll take a look at it and start, putting stuff in on your cell phone, like, okay, make reminders, post-it notes, whatever you need. Then next time I see you on Tuesday, next Tuesday when I see you, or before then, but next Tuesday you can ask those questions, especially if your little group that I'm going to send you into in just a minute doesn't have the answer. Like, they don't know. But literally, it's the longest syllabus ever. I think it looks pretty long because I gave you all of this middle stuff here. Okay, this is the kind of main, almost like a table of contents in a way. It's got the page number and then what the topic is. So this is where you can kind of look and go, oh, okay, I need to read heavily right here because I don't really remember this whole teaching phonics thing. But I do remember guided word study where I helped to pick the words for the kid and the kid looks at tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. And I kind of remember that, okay? Or I know what a homophone is. Okay, that's strategic reading. All right, so while you're doing that, I want to take you and I want to show you kind of what everything looks like. So here, that was your syllabus, long-winded as it is. Now on my screen, you're seeing all of the chapters. They're already up there, but they're not going to be shown to you. This next one's not going to get shown to you until Sunday, right? Right now you're kind of open for chapter 1. You did have a little bit of an assignment before that as well. Each of the time, there's going to be something up here that has Cornell notes. If there isn't a Cornell note inside, it'll have something else for you to do. Okay, a description, a scavenger hunt, an art project, something like that. And each time you'll be able to open those notes up. You can type within them. What I will tell you about that is, I want you to see it first. Okay, so they all look exactly the same. If you see anything that says this, like before you start, take pop quiz number 1 on page 3, that's just for you. All right, so inside of the textbook, it's got its own pop quizzes. That's just for you to kind of see what you know or don't know about that particular chapter. So it's not that you have to turn anything in showing that you took pop quiz 1 on page 3. It's instead saying, hey, what do I need to make sure I pay attention to? It's for you. If I was you, and as a student myself, I've obviously been in school a really, really long time. My parents would say that I've never left school. I don't think I did. I think I went to Mother's Day out from the time I was about 3 until I'm still working at a school. So there you go. I've worked in schools my whole life. What I would say is when you find something that you're pretty sure yourself that you don't know so much about, make a running list. That's going to help you study for your exams when you come to your exams. I don't just mean in this class. This class is such a small thing for whatever else you're going to be doing with your lives as you work with children and young adults. But having that running list gets you prepared to take your own exit exams when you're ready to exit our program and to go out there and work at these schools that I'm telling you are going to need you so bad. And they need you to understand the kids that are coming in. And you do. You understand better than anybody else what it means for a kid to be missing out on school. Okay, and then down on the left side are the questions that I want you to be able to answer as you read through. Sometimes I would say it's helpful, well, not sometimes, it is helpful to you to put the page numbers where you found the answers. However, when I'm grading these and taking a look at, the depth and complexity from which you're writing, it is not going to behoove you to copy directly from the book. Now, it'll get you the grade on you're not going to lose points on the Cornell notes for copying from the book. But what we know as learning scientists and reading scientists, comprehension is the most important part, right? So if kids can decode all the words, but they can't make meaning from the words, then they're missing out on the act of reading. So while we need them to be able to decode words, to sound them out, and be successful at that, that's only the start. Because then they have to make meaning from the words in order to comprehend the text. If you have any of you ever had kids who sound like they can read, but then can't remember anything or can't answer questions, but you heard them read it, so where was the breakdown? Well, the breakdown is in that comprehension process, the meaning making. So reading is always decoding plus meaning making equals reading. You can't have one without the other. That's the same for you. So when you're looking here, you should be trying to write this and the answer to this in your own words because you're making the meaning. It's going to be more memorable for you. It's going to be easier for you to call forth. And if there's an issue, I'm still going to tell you, you're not going to lose points for trying to do it on your own. Um, Copying from the book, not as beneficial. It's going to start to feel like an activity that is boring and lame instead of you're learning from it. Okay? So, just so that you know, when it asks, what are some of the symptoms people with reading disorders might display? If you already know some, like they might get angry when it's time to read. Kids, if they feel like they can't read, they might get angry. So that might be something that, hey, I have experience with that. Anger is one way that kids who struggle to read might showcase. What's another thing that they might showcase if they are having issues with reading disabilities or struggling with the reading task?
Maybe like behavioral stuff. They don't want to like sit down and do it. They get distracted and do other things instead.
Come on, log in,
They
participate.
also,
What are some things that you've seen kids do or that you might do when you're like overwhelmed in chemistry and you're like, I don't understand this?
you just don't do it. Just leave it there.
They get fidgety and have a
Hello. Come on, guys.
Hear it?
Are you able to hear us?
I have really good wait time, but this is starting to take a long time. Come on.
Can you hear everybody responding?
Anybody? Am I just not hearing you guys? Oh,
Can you hear us now?
there you go. Yes.
Okay, we were talking about how the kids would just maybe not do it or walk away from it.
Yeah. The refusal to do it. Just like, yeah, have you ever seen, I've even seen kids that during like silent reading or something, they literally just tune out. Like they actually tune out. Yeah. What else?
They develop a nervous tick.
Yeah. They absolutely can develop a nervous tick.
They might like cry and get really embarrassed.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Absolutely. So they cry and get embarrassed. Have you ever had kids where they read out loud? Because they'll want to read out loud regardless of how good of a reader they are. And then when they struggle with a word, what does the rest of the class do?
Laugh.
They might laugh. What else?
Just stay quiet and not, yeah.
Yeah, they might put their head down, something like that. So a kid reads and they come to a really difficult word. What do the kids who are very good readers do when that kid starts going?
They correct them.
They correct them, yeah. So it feels bad when somebody's like, the word is committee, right? And you're like, okay, it is. It's committee.
I was in a class and I went in to fill in for like an English teacher for fourth grade.
Mhm.
And I had them their passage and we would read it together as a class to read it several times to increase that level of comprehension. And so one of the students was one of like the lower reader level students, and he would stumble along a lot of the words where the class began to be like extremely impatient. And so
Yeah.
they would try to fill in.
Do you think the kids were comprehending? Well, first of all, do you think the kid that was reading and it was such a struggle was comprehending?
So I don't think that anyone was comprehending at that point, because the student first doesn't have the fluency in order to get to that comprehension level. And because you have those interruptions within each word or each sentence or every other sentence, that the other students in the class are not going to be able to understand either. And so that just means we'll have to reread it again as a class with the teacher, like with me, or that they'll have to read it again individually and then I can read it with that student.
Yes. That strategy is called round robin reading, where each kid reads a little bit or a kid reads something out loud. The funny thing about it is kids who struggle to read or have a reading disorder, they'll still want to read. They'll still raise their hand. until they've either shut down or as they get older, they just won't participate. But the comprehension for the class breaks down. Not only when it's a poor reader or a reader that's struggling, but also a reader who's very well-read. So a reader who reads really quickly also can cause comprehension problems for the class. Because a kid that reads really fast, most of your kids don't. And so therefore, they're reading too quickly, and the kid is trying to follow along, and it's too fast and it's too much. Round robin reading, where you pick a kid and another kid, another kid, another kid, even when they raise their hands and they love it, because they do. Even if they do this, the truth is comprehension breaks down. It is the worst strategy, and yet we see it especially in our upper grades and into high school. Like they read Romeo and Juliet, and they each, read different pieces. The only time you would have kids reading like that, where they are reading out loud in front of a class, would be they're performing it, which means that they've practiced it. It should never be a cold read. A cold read is a read that they've never read before. If they've read it before, it's a warm read or a hot read. When we practice something a whole lot, it's hot. So at that time, when it hits a hot read, good. That's something they can read out loud with the class and take some pride in doing it. Warm reads, we're working on getting ready to read. And a cold read, we don't read out loud. We can read with the teacher, choral reading. We all read together. But the teacher's going to set that pace and going to decide that section. If you find yourself handing out a worksheet and reading it together, just kind of question. Round robin reading, worst strategy ever. Nobody gets it. High kids listening to low kids have comprehension issues. Low kids listening to low kids have comprehension issues. Middle kids listening to high kids, comprehension issues. Middle kids listening to low kids, comprehension issues. It's a waste of your time. And the one thing, guys, that I wish I could give you, and nobody can give you, is more time. In your classroom, you are always going to be ruled by time. I know you've done some work with, you've done some essay reads, some of you, but you've been out in schools, and you'll see how fast, you move from one thing to another. And they have times like you're going to go to lunch at 11:21, not 25, but 21. And that's because every little minute is supposed to be filled with something where children are learning. So don't waste your time on things that are not very good strategies. Round robin reading is one of the worst strategies that you can use in your classroom, no matter what age. Okay, so on these little slides, you'll be able to download these, type them, make these things bigger or smaller. Probably page numbers is going to be helpful to you, especially as you get ready to take your midterm, your final exam. You'll be able to go back because you will have done a whole bunch of reading by the time we're in the final exam. So being able to find where the answers are and then what the topics are will be helpful to you. All right, so anytime it has these little notes down here, this is for you. You're welcome to share that with me if you want to, but you certainly don't have to. This side over here is the question, and I'm hoping that you're going to write answers in your own words. Okay, not just copy from the book. Copy from the book is one of the lowest levels of learning. Okay, all right. Then I want to show you. I'm going to stick you into your rooms to meet people pretty soon. My office hours are kind of in here, but I'll tell you guys, I get so lonely during office hours that I kind of hate them when they're like, you have to be in your office at 1 o'clock. So I'll kind of be in and out of my office during some times, but I'm telling you, the best thing to do is just text me. Don't feel weird about it. Please just text me and say, hey, I'm confused, or hey, I have a couple questions, and I can hop in really fast. It's going to be a lot more beneficial to you than waiting for me to have office hours on Thursdays. Okay, last thing I'm going to show you before I push you in is kind of what the Grade Center looks like. And I'm showing you, you're seeing it from my point of view. It always looks different on your side. You only see you. But I want to show you because it allows me to kind of show for you what I'm seeing. So when I'm grading here, I'm going to go in. Your first stuff is due Sunday. So that's this getting to know you piece. Okay. So 3 people have already turned it in. Go you guys. They've already turned in what they have to do. Some of you are just now kind of getting on and going, hey, I didn't know I had anything due. It's okay. It's cool. Remember, things end on Friday, so you have till Friday, and then they open again on Sunday, so no problem. Some of you are going to want to kind of get started on the next stuff. I know. If you want to get started on the next thing, you can through reading. Start reading, okay? you don't have to wait for it to open on a Friday for you to start reading the next chapter. But it goes all the way across. Look, it's just all the different chapters. There's always some sort of notes you're going to do. There's some sort of a quiz you're going to do, and there's some or quiz, whatever you want to call it, check for reading, quiz you're going to do, whatever, and then and/or an activity. Okay, so reading, quiz, activity. Lots of times it's your Cornell notes. Okay, this and this availability, just so you can kind of see, that's where I can go in and I can actually see right now you're available, meaning that you have checked in at some point into Blackboard or that you're in there now. And then I can also see, you know, time and stuff like that. All right, cool. Let me get out of here. And now what I want to do is come back to here. Stop sharing my screen with you guys so you don't have to see everything. Wait, go out of here. I'm going to break you into some breakout sessions is what I want to do. When you get into your breakout session, we are coming, I'm going to probably give you about, I don't know, 6 or 7 minutes to do that. And just kind of share with each other, I don't know what you want to do, but definitely get a phone number or an email address of somebody that's willing to take on, you know, if you do miss a class, kind of talking through something or asking a question about an assignment. And then after that way you have somebody to count on other than just me, although I can create some assignments for you. And then we're just I'll pull you back in about 5 minutes, okay? So you're gonna head out to your session and I'm going to pull you back in. All right?
I have a question.
Yeah.
And they gave you the discussion board, it's not there.
Well, I will let you know while you go into your rooms. Let me send you into your rooms. You should be saying yes to your rooms. And then we're going to see who's actually here. And I'm going to go in and I'll check that for you. Thank you for telling me it's not. I'll check that while you're in there. So you should be pulled into your rooms now. Good class. I'm enjoying it. All right, you're back. It's sort of weird. It's like Portal 9 3/4. Your Harry Potter. It's like you do, and you come back. Okay, so hopefully you found someone who was willing to share a phone number with you, said hello, met people a little bit, a tech, an email, something that you can kind of grab onto to ask questions of. Realize the best part about being in school should be asking the questions. I think we do a lot of disservice to kids when we make them feel that there's always one right answer, and that if they don't have it, then they feel like they're dumb, and they take on this persona that I'm not good at school. I don't know how to do it. I'm bad. I'm stupid. And so we don't ever want to be purveyors of that. No teacher goes into a classroom and says, you know what, let's just make all the kids feel stupid today. None of us do that. But a lot of us, through our own ventures over school, know what that feels like. Might have been when you were in a chemistry class in college, or it was math class in high school, or it was something that made you feel inferior. We don't ever want to be purveyors of that. I don't want to be a purveyor of that either, meaning I don't want to put that forth. So the questions are really where we want to be. We want to live inside of those questions and be curious. And so that's kind of how I want to have a couple people share perhaps as well. But one of the things I want to say is that everything is set up pretty straightforward in class, but coming to class, what I would like us to imagine is that it's a flipped classroom, meaning that when I put you in breakout sessions, you're going to be sharing with people, different people. It's not always the same people, but you're going to be sharing kind of what's going on for you, what it is that you were struggling with, how you did on the test, I don't know, whatever the topic is of the moment that I give you guys. But we have to stand on the backs of giants. We need to be able to know that asking questions and being curious is okay. It's okay to do that. Right now, I'm a student too. Yes, I have a PhD, but I am taking counseling classes at A&M because they're free for us. So I'm actually getting another master's degree, I guess. But I'm in counseling classes so that I can learn about trauma and how that informs our teaching. So something that I might not put on a resume, perhaps yet, might be that I'm overwhelmed too as we start the semester, trying to just get in the habit of what each week looks like, and keeping work and school and children and puppies and significant others and community kind of together is hard. So what I'm going to ask you guys to share is something that you might not put on a resume, but might be true of you. Okay, so one of the things is that I'm always a little overwhelmed as well. Second thing I wouldn't put on a resume is that I'm cold all the time. Like nobody seems to care that I'm cold, but I'm cold all the time. So you'll almost always see me in something that is long sleeves because I'm cold. And schools, I don't know what you guys are trying to do out there, but we're trying to preserve kids because they are so cold. And our kids sit in class with like sweaters on and stuff. Had this one kid, he put his jacket like this, so we get this big wet spot right here. And it's because it's so cold. I don't know what we're trying to do. We act like it's a hospital or something, but I'm cold all the time. And here in Oregon, I'm really cold all the time. But I was cold in Texas too. All right, so anybody want to share something about themselves that they might not put on a resume?
I can go.
Yeah.
I'm super emotional. I'm a Pisces. I will cry for everything.
I get like this random burst of energy, like random hours of the day and night. So I'll try to get everything done all at once, and then I'll just crash and then not do anything else productive for like 2 days because that one day I was just like an addict, all crazy.
Liana, that is so me. I even get cleaning bugs where I want to clean it all like right now, and then I'm like, I am done. Like I'm tapped out. Tap me out. Why I did it all?
And then reorganize everything all at once. Everything has to change.
So true. Like, oh my, I even tried to fix my bookshelves so they would be like good when you guys saw them back there. It's like, that's not the thing I need to be working on right now. Totally get you.
I did notice how organized your bookshelves were. I like them a lot. I am a serial procrastinator. It is the worst thing about me. I put my kids and my husband and everything else in the world before anything that is mine, and I put it into the very last minute, and then I get super overwhelmed, and most of the time can't turn things in on time.
Anybody else feel that? You can shake your heads. Just like I do this to myself. I get to the end and I'm like, oh my god, and I've procrastinated. Now it's due, and it's like, oh my gosh. All right, secret on this.
With that, I'm a procrastinator, but I also wait till the last minute to do things because I feel like I'm more efficient and that my work comes out better when I wait till like that last minute to do things. It's weird. I feel like when I take my time, nothing comes out, but like those last like that I know I need to do it, it comes out great. So that's why I like procrastinate so much.
Like reinforcement for procrastination. I definitely get that. I do.
I feel like I'm always stressed. I could have everything in the world done. Everything could be fine and good, but I'm going to find something to stress and worry about, and it's horrible. It's horrible.
Why do we do that, Victoria? Like, I totally do that. I stress on everything, even things that they don't matter. Doesn't matter that my bookshelves look so like perfect. Oh my gosh, they look so good back. I'm pretty sure that if you like could see, which you can't, titles of books, that they would be like books that you would think that a reading professor would have. Like it's not great
Yeah.
or something. Like you know what I mean? Like why? Oh,
I don't know. It's like I'm like that with my journals and my notes. Like nobody's gonna see them, but they're gonna have to be with color, organized. I can't. If I have one mistake, I'm gonna rewrite all my notes. Like I don't know what's wrong.
I think a lot of us might have some portions of that. Is anybody in here also a journaler? Or like maybe an avid notebook keeper? I'm a journaler too, obviously, but I always have like, this is my like to-do lists and stuff. And I'll even cross off stuff, like you can kind of see it cross off at the top. I'll cross off stuff that I just wrote to make myself feel like I'm doing things. It's like, oh, look, I just did the dishwasher. Let's do the dishwasher. And then I cross it off at the same time because I already did it. But I want to feel like I'm living a life, I guess. I don't know.
I think
I've
it's just
always
so you
tried
know
to
you're
get in
doing
the
something.
habit of journaling, but I can never keep up with it. I'm over here with like 5 journals, and I'm like, wow.
It's also books. I mean, how many of you have books that you bought because they sounded really good or that you bought for your classroom at some point, but you never have sat down to actually read them, but they looked really pretty or they make you feel good? Probably. Hopefully you have at least a couple books. Let's see, one of my dogs is, that's Ruth Bader Ginsburg over there yelling at the mailman. So, sorry about that. As we sort of finish now, I'm going to ask you guys to make sure you get in touch with the person or persons that you have in your group, just in one way or another. I'm not going to ask you to prove that you did, but send an email or a text message, you know, so that people can get their little group kind of text going. I think the people who have made the A's the easiest are people who utilize each other. And, you know, that would be the same thing as I know about teachers in schools as well. The best teachers are the ones that work collaboratively with their team. And I don't mean like a teacher that comes in and says, oh, I made the science lessons, here's the science lessons. And you made the language arts lessons, here's the language arts lessons. Instead, I mean people who enjoy having lunch with each other, who talk about the scores on the math test, try to figure out activities that'll work with them. They help each other with behavior sometimes, you know, like when a kid's being a pain and you're like, listen, I need you to go over to Miss Wilson's room and just take that assignment and go sit there and do it. And like when the kid shows up, you know, you're like, oh, have a seat. You already know what's going on. You already know the kid's in trouble. You already know there's something going on where they need some space, where we can utilize each other as a community. I don't think we're going to be able to get through all the things that are being asked of us right now in the world without using each other and helping each other. I really don't. I think it's going to come down to not even who's president, not who's vice president. We've had some really good stuff happening, not even the amount of money that they're going to pump into schools in the next year. It's going to make a difference, the relationships that you set up. And this would be a good semester to kind of start setting those up, especially as some of you are going to student teaching. And it can feel really lonely, like everything is overwhelming, and it's going to be really overwhelming for those of you that'll student teach within this next semester or so, because there's a lot of protocol that you're going to be learning. So remember that the most important thing that you can do for your family and with your family and for yourself and for the future, actually, for the kids that'll be with you in the future, is help to learn to take care of each other and yourself. That's the most important thing. All right, guys. So there's a couple of phone numbers over on the side inside the chat. You'll have to go through all the chat where I wasn't realizing that I had muted all of you guys. Sorry. I'll do better next time. I will not see you until next Tuesday. Okay, so next Tuesday. So if you're somebody who had Brendan in the classroom, you might remind him like, hey, there's no class until next Tuesday. Same time, same place. I will say this class had 100% attendance. If we can keep that from 90 to 100, I'll give bonus points to everybody. So if you'll come, you log in, sit in your car. We had some people sitting in the, who was sitting, Abigail? You're in the car, right? That's Abigail? Yeah. Abigail sitting in the car. She took her little hour and 30 minutes and she's going out there to where the only place that's quiet. And you can try to make yourself get in here. We'll do some points for that. That's pretty impressive if you can actually take it on as a group to try to make sure that everybody who's here you know, everybody comes at 90%. We're at 100% today, but 90% is what I'll be looking for. All right, guys, I'm going to kick you out of the room. I'm going to shut it down. But before I go, the last thing I do want to show you, let me share my screen with you one more time, is the videos will not be located inside of your folders. A link will be. The link is going to take you to a YouTube channel. This is my YouTube channel. A&M did not buy enough space inside of Blackboard for us to include videos. So when all of this went down with COVID, we could hold, you know, some teaching videos, example videos, but to hold hour-long classes every day, once a week, or 3-hour-long classes every week, there's not enough space for us to house those inside of our Blackboards. So you will see this video go up. Not that you're going to need to rewatch it or anything, but on some of the days we do content, you might want to rewatch. And you'll have to come into the link that'll bring you into YouTube, and then you have to subscribe to the channel. Okay? And you can see here, like here's EDRG 4331 from the fall. You'll be able to see these. Like, let's say you want to go and see what I taught in the fall on running records. There it is at the top, running records. You can go in and look at that. But the one for the class, the particular for that day, and this, it'll take you directly to it, okay? And you'll have, that's the only way for me to give you access to all of the videos you'll need. And I hope the new professors know that. So you will get sent to YouTube, and it will ask you to subscribe. You're not going to get weird emails from me or anything like that. You can subscribe underneath even your A&M name if you want to set up a fake name and be, you know, Jersey Shores for all it matters to me. But it'll give you access to see some of the other videos. These are all videos. Everything you're going to see here is videos from me teaching in class. So let's not say you find a topic that you're like, Wilson is going to ask about this. I can tell. You might want to go in and take a look at it. Okay. All right, guys. So that's how that's going to go. I usually get the videos up within 24 hours. You'll see the link. That's all it is. It's going to take you to YouTube. And that's kind of it. Anything that you feel like we should answer as a class that you guys came up with, or something you want to share?
Was the discussion board up? Or?
Yes, I went and fixed it while you guys were in class. Yeah, Elena was like, it's not up anymore. I'm like, oh, shoot. It's up. It'll be up until Sunday. I think I left it a little longer. Usually we close on a Friday. I think I left it till Sunday. So it'll be open a little longer for you. Normally things will close on Friday and open on Sunday. This one I left a little bit of time, especially because I asked you, and I know Heather's going to be excited, I asked you to do something with markers. No, I gave you the option to do something sort of artsy to show it. There's going to be a lot of times actually in this assessment class that instead of a quiz, I ask you to do something, find something, show something, video something. It's not that I expect it to take a million years. You don't have to show a million years, but you do need to show depth and complexity in your thinking. So it might not be that it's the best, most beautiful piece of art you've ever created, but it might be something that you do with your kids and that you bring that back in, or it's something you do with your partner and you bring that back in, or you're just attempting to show that you worked on this content for a total of around, now I'm going to scare you guys with this, but in general, my goal for you is that you work around 3 hours a week. That's the real goal, 3 hours. You technically are supposed to work close to 9, okay? That's called time on task, and online you're supposed to have 135 hours over the course of the semester. So you should not be working more than about 3 hours on the course, including reading. That's reading, quiz taking, and activity, right? Never longer than that. If you find yourself taking a lot longer than that, then you should reassess in your own head, how can I make it move faster? Is this something I should talk to Dr. Wilson about? Or maybe I'm just someone who's a little slower. Like, I know people we call them deliberate readers. A deliberate reader is somebody who just is more deliberate in their reading. They want it to look right. They might do it 3 or 4 times. They are the people who have highlighters. You know, they've got their little notepads out. They got their 25 colors of pencils and their markers, and they're highlighting all these different colors, and then they're writing their notes. It can take them longer to do it because you're more deliberate. Then you got somebody like me who, you know, might not be deliberate on some tasks and is very deliberate on other tasks. And so you'll just, some of these tasks you will like love, and some of them you won't. Like you're like, oh, a quiz. Screw a quiz, man. You just want to throw up a bad hand signal. But some of it, I hope that you do take a little bit of time, because on these completion, there's completion, right? That's a C. A C is complete. You've got it, it's fine. Nothing amazing, but it's fine. A B is above average, right? So it looks more than just answering a question. It might have some page numbers, or it has a picture, has this or that. An A is exceptional work. So if you want exceptional work, you're probably working closer to 5 hours instead of 3. But it's up to you. And it doesn't mean that you have to do that every week, because it depends on what's happening during your week, guys. Like, please let me know if things are going on in your household and there's something that I can do to help. Okay. Also, at the very beginning, I asked anybody who has lost jobs or is having any money difficulty that they're willing to share with me. Please let me know that some of that's going on for you. I'm going to see if I can get some books, some actual books to you guys that you need them face to face. You know, you like the text in front of you. Okay, and I'm going to do my best with that and try to. You'll learn from me next week. Pearson, you know, that sells all the textbooks. They're the devil. Yep, they have taken over education. They are. So I try to do it right back at them. I'm like, send me books like that. So we'll see what we can get. All right, let me know if there's anything else, and I will make sure that I don't mute you in the same way next time. I'll see you next week. Work on the assignments, because you kind of have 2. You have the one from last week or whatever, and then you've got chapter 1 that you're starting now. All right, see you later.
Dr. Wilson.
Yeah.
I just wanted to let you know, I apologize for coming to class late. I was thinking that the class was going to be on Blackboard. So
no, nice to hear. No worries. I literally did attendance, and you were right there. So don't ever worry about that. I will do my best to be here on time, but I don't even guarantee I'm here. And I'm supposed to be in charge. So no problems, April, at all.
Okay, thank you.
All right, see you later.
Bye.
I have a friend that just had a baby named Skylar. She just named her Skylar Ray. Good name. Good name. All right, I'm out.
Wait, I have a question.
Oh, okay.
I thought class started at 2.
That's the next class.
Okay.
Same room, different.
My bad. Am I still staying here?
Yeah. So if you missed all the first part, yeah, like there's a class that starts at 2. Starts right now.
Okay.
A few minutes.
I was really confused.
Yeah, it's gonna kick you out, and then it's gonna start again. So just so that you know.
Okay. All right. Sorry.
No problem.